Hey there you guys, welcome back. Today we're going to do a little bit of a yard tour. I'm going to try to get everything into this video, the front and the back, just because I don't think I need to hit on all the plants. I just want to show you what's going on. Yeah, we got a beautiful sunflower, really tall right there. It's doing so good. I actually like that one better than the one with the big flowers. I like that it has multiple flowers on it, and it's flowering late. So this year I've had a huge time frame of sunflowers. They went from midsummer, and then we had a little bit of a lull, and then the big ones flowered, and then now this one is flowering. So I'm super happy. The blue jays have been here in the mornings, trying to eat from this one here. As I'm pointing to the viewfinder, and I look like an idiot. You can't see what I was pointing at. So, yeah, they've been there poking away, chasing each other out of the way. Usually I don't like blue jays, only because they're really aggressive and territorial, so they don't let other birds feed. But they're the only ones that are at the sunflowers, so I really enjoy watching them fight amongst themselves. At a bird feeder, however, I don't really like them. They push everybody else out. So anyway, let's get to it. Let's wander about the yard. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy. Okay, so let's do a little pan around of the yard. We are first weekend in September. Actually, we're almost to the second weekend of September. It's past Labor Day. And yeah, things are looking really tired. We've been having a lot of foggy days recently. So right now it's very moist. And yeah, it's not very enjoyable outside. I can't really walk on the grass because the grass is wet. Hence, also the reason why it's not been cut. That and it's also been really dry, so we've been letting it get a little bit longer because it's been growing very patchy. But in the last few days, I guess, we've been getting a little bit of rain. So the lawn is not as yellow as it has been, and now it's growing more evenly. So I think today or tomorrow, it'll get a good mow. So we'll continue around here. And things are looking really nice. Again, a little bit tired. Things should have been pruned, I guess. Things should have been fertilized a little bit more. Realistically, I like to fertilize every second week. But this year, I don't know why, I just haven't been. Maybe because it's been so hot. I'm not sure. I've been busy doing other things, I guess. So let's take a little bit of a closer look. We've had a lot of wind recently, and this really tore up leaf is the newest leaf. As it was unfurling, it was being just whipped by the wind, so that was really upsetting. I don't see a new leaf coming out in there, so it'll be a little bit of time before I get a new leaf. I'll be taking the hummingbird feeder down probably this weekend, just because they've all gone south. I thought I'd give it another chance, but I haven't seen any hummingbirds here since last weekend. So yeah, this Xanthosoma lime zinger is looking so beautiful. Over winter time, it looks terrible in the house. I try to overwinter it. It starts to grow, and then it dies back, and then it starts to grow, and then it dies back, and I'm always worried that every year it's going to die. But it's looking amazing this year. I love the color. I love the texture. It's kind of like a velvety texture. It doesn't feel velvety, but when you look at it, it looks like it's fuzzy. So, and then over here, I'm starting to take the indoor plants inside. Many of them don't like to go below 10 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's gotten close to that. I think it's gotten to about 11 or 12 at night. So it won't be long until I will have to bring things in. So I don't want to do it all in a rush because that's really hard to do. So let's just take a little gander at some of these things. This is a Spirea that's in bloom. Look at how pretty that is. This one usually, oh, this one has a bud up here. It's usually in flower. There's always something usually on that one. Some little Edgeveras looking so pretty. And the fan aloe looking cool. Here is some Gasteria flowers. Look like little stomachs, little pink stomachs. Yeah, not too much going on. Again, I'm going to take many of these things in today. but we'll see how it goes. I've got a little project going on here. I haven't been filming it, but maybe I should. I'm going to turn this into a topiary. This is a bougainvillea, and it's really, really tall and narrow at the moment. This spring I took all of the side branches off, and I stuck it on a pole. I just attached it to a pole, and I now need to take off the side branches again. As you can see, there's some going off in the distance, but I want to have a pom-pom just on the top, because that's the way I like to grow them, and then I can grow other things underneath. So yeah, the agave, the spineless agave is looking nice. I repotted this, I think it's Kalanchoe or Kalancho. Oh, there's a wasp on the camera. Is it gonna show up on the... Nope, he's on the front of the camera now. So the Baronensis, I think, or the elephant Kalancho, I'm not 100% sure, but it used to be bigger. These are just little babies of it, and it's growing beautifully now that it's in a bigger pot. It was in a 4-inch pot for the longest time, so now the leaves should start getting a little bit bigger. Some of my Amorphophallus are starting to die back. 'Tis the season, and this one is the Bulbifer. All right, let's go back into the garden. Oh, actually, before we do that, the tower garden is looking really, really awful. I've got some peppers here that can get harvested. And as you can see, but I think I'm just going to rip everything out this weekend. It's really looking worse for wear. The Sansevierias are looking pretty nice. I'm going to try to harvest some of these seeds on the starfish. It recently bloomed, and as you can see, we got little seed pods, these little balls. We need to wait until they turn red. So we'll try. I tried last year, but nothing sprouted, but we'll try again this year. This Masoniana Sansevierias is doing beautifully. The new growth is gigantic, well, wide, and it's got 2 leaves in it, so it's looking really, really cool. I love the coloration. I'm wondering if it is a whale fin, but it gets taller than the typical whale fin. So let me know what your thoughts are. I believe it's a Masoniana, and I think whale fin is a variety of, but I don't think that the whale fin gets as tall. It gets really wide and robust, but not as tall. Back into the garden. Look at that grass. It's so beautiful. Okay. So highlights of the garden right now are that ginger, that shell ginger that's growing there. It didn't like the full sun of the summertime. It would curl up every day during the peak sun hours, and it just looks beautiful now. The tamer sun, as the sun's going down earlier in the day, it's getting shaded probably by this massive sunflower a little bit as well. So it just looks a lot happier, and those colors are beautiful. So I'm going to dig that up. Probably sometime in the next week or two, I'm going to dig out all of the tropicals. I don't know whether I'll bring them in the house right away, but I just might let them acclimate in their pots outside. Usually I wait until it's almost a frost before I dig out my alocasias, but then I end up running like crazy. And every night I'm just, after work, I'm just wondering if I should run outside and dig. But I don't want to be in that stress this year. So I might dig them up early, and I might just put them in pots and let them sit outside, and maybe even keep them in their locations, but just in a pot, so I could just pull them out and bring them in. So this Weigela is so pretty. I love this lighting. Is perfect for the Weigela. It's overcast, so the variegation really pops. It just looks stunning. And back behind we've got a Plumeria. Those will have to come in very, very soon. Let me know if you want to see videos of me pulling out some of my tropicals. I know I've done it in the past, and people really enjoy it. They find them helpful. But since I've done them in the past, I don't know that you want to see them again. So let me know again if you want to see those. Because of the crazy wind that we've been having, that tall trunk broke off. So I just stuck this in the soil. It's not nearly deep enough, but I was hoping that I would get some time so that I can plant it in the soil a little bit better than it should, than it is, and I'll just bring it inside. So this one is the Pretoria, or I think it's Pretoria, and then this one here is the sunflower that the blue jays are in love with. They come out here and they poke at it. They come in and they I don't know what they do. They land on the branches and they poke the branches. I think that they're trying to dislodge some sunflower seeds, but it's a whole thing. This banana, this is the blue Java banana, and or the ice cream banana. It got massive this year. It looks terrible right now because it's shredded. We have had terrible winds. So this guy is going to get dug up and brought into the garage. I think I'm going to do this video for sure. Because last year was the first year that I stored them bare root, and it was very successful. And this year my plant is, I'm going to say it's probably 12 feet tall now, so the actual leaves are starting at the top of the fence, so that's probably about 6.5 feet, and then up above that is more leaves. So around here, I was asked about my dill. All of the dill here is self-seeded, so it just comes up year after year. We love dill, so I don't mind. I actually don't like it in the very front where it is, because it's taking away from the annuals in the back. These zinnias, this color has been really beautiful this year. It really pops at times like this. I took a few cuttings and brought them inside, so there used to be 4 or 5 flowers, but now there's only 1, and now we've got a nice tall stem here. That stem is probably about 4 feet tall. That's crazy. And then there's going to be a bloom on top. So yeah, and then we got some salvia, both types of salvia. We got some purple and we've got some blue. I'm really looking forward to digging these guys out, the spider lilies. This one's a sulfur queen. They just are starting to look really rude and tired. That leaf there is a caladium. That's not the sulfur queen, but they're looking really tired. As you'll see, the other spider lilies are looking awful, so they'll get dug up very soon. That's a nice alocasia. I don't know, I like it, but it's not really making the cut for me this year. I'll bring it in, but we'll see. I've got so many others that are doing much more beautifully. These are the spider lilies. Ugh, they look awful. They're really starting to fall over. They're starting to collapse, so I'll be digging those out and letting them dry out in the sun for a few days, and then I'll bring them in the house and store them dry. Finally, the Japanese maple is it's getting some light because these darn spider lilies just got way overgrown, and it really shaded out the Japanese maple. So hopefully this coming spring, it'll look much nicer. But it is fall and things aren't looking their best. And then this hanging basket, I'll probably end up just tossing it. Just because it got neglected for a little bit. Right now it's because of the rain. It's got the flowers all downward, but it's just not flowering like it was, and I might just take it out and be done with it. It's becoming a nuisance to water. It's not looking as beautiful as it once did. So yeah, time for a fresh start, or just looking at the fence. I don't know. And then the ageratums along the front, we're going to do more of these next year because they're so beautiful. As you can see, it's just a nice border around the garden. Next year we'll do more of them. They're just peppered in, but they grew beautifully, as you can see. You probably noticed that I've also put some cabbage in for fall interest, because once we get a frost, the cabbage are going to be the focal points. The color's really going to pop, and the other things are going to die. So I should have actually planted some more cabbage, but there really wasn't the space. And this guy here, I don't know, I love the way it looks. It's one of the giant sunflowers, and it just looks so weathered, and I can't bring myself to remove it. This thing is phenomenal. Just look at the way that like, if that could talk, that's amazing. So yeah, I should cut it down. It's not doing anything. The birds aren't eating anything on it or whatever, so it's really not doing anything. Here's one of the succulent pots. I was going to add more to it and dress them up a bit, but I didn't get around to it, and they're looking okay. This sedum is looking beautiful. The Echeveria looks amazing. I love that. I love how it's branching out, and whatever this is, I'm sure it's a type of sedum or Echeveria. But it's looking cool too, just trying to make a go of it. But I've got some dead stuff in here as well that I really should remove. Maybe when it comes inside, I'll do that. So around here, this is the Alocasia Lutea. I think it's a Alocasia Lutea, and it's looking amazing this year. I've showed you that on Instagram as well. We've got another Cabbage. I can't wait for them to really show off once we get the cooler nighttime temperatures. The Hosta Garden is looking pretty crazy. I'll have to space these out, I think, again. Next year, I'm not going to do anything next year. I just want to see how they grow, because at the back we've got the Empress Wu, and the Empress Wu in the past has been gigantic. The leaves being like almost 20 inches long, and this year they've barely made it to 10 inches. So as you can see, it's not looking the greatest. Back behind we've got a beautiful alocasia. So we'll see what happens with it. I don't want to disturb everything. I want to let them grow and let them develop a root hold and see how big they're going to get before I dig them up and move them again. Because like this one here, Praying Hands, I think I'll move that further out a little bit so that it stays out of the circle of this one. But if I move it out, it'll look pretty, I think. So let me know what your suggestions are. But I love my Hosta Garden. Then over here, I noticed that the monkey puzzle tree is starting to branch out, and that's super cool. This is a hard one to keep watered because it's kind of out of range of the hose, and when we put the sprinkler on the garden, it doesn't really get a lot of moisture. So I need to really make a point of coming over here and watering. But I do, and it's doing well. Oh, and I don't know whether you're able to see, but back in the back behind the elephant ear, that's where I've been keeping my Amaryllis over the winter time, or sorry, over the summertime. They get enough light back there. I take the hose back there and water occasionally, but they're not in full sun, but they do get a lot of light, and they're nice and beautiful. Actually, let's go around there and check them out. This basket along our window box is just overgrown. This coleus is crazy. The begonias inside are hidden. The creeping jenny isn't really visible. I'll have to get in there and clean everything out. All right. So here we go. Here is the Amaryllis. These are naturally going to try to go dormant because of the nighttime temperatures, but as you can see, they got a lot of leaves, and hopefully they've grown enough that they'll bloom on their own. But I will give them a dormancy period. I don't know that I'm going to force them dormant. I might just bring them in the house with leaves and see what happens. I want the bulb size to get bigger. So if the bulb hasn't developed as big as I'd like it to, I'm just going to let them continue to grow. Normally by now I will have stopped watering to force them into dormancy by middle of September. That way they will be ready for and primed for blooming near Christmas time. But this year it doesn't really matter to me. Oh, there's a little mouse. Oh, I don't know whether you're able to see, but if you rewind the video, over on this side there was a little mouse by the boxwood on the concrete. Okay, so we're back in the garden, and over here we have some lilies. I forget what they're the type of lily they are, but they're beautiful. I think they're pink. I got those at a discount price, and I knew they weren't going to flower this year because I planted them really late, but at least they're growing. Next year hopefully we'll get some flowers. We've got the Zinger and a cabbage, and the Zinger, I can't wait to dig that up. That'll be very, very soon. I want to see how the rhizome has developed. And I don't know, maybe we'll eat it, maybe we won't, maybe I'll just grow it again next year, but we'll see what happens. And then we've got the Plumerias, more Plumerias. We'll go along the side of the house and just look at the Plumerias there as well. But no inflows yet that I know of, and that's all right. Next year, hopefully we'll get more. I got a couple of inflows last fall, and they died over winter because, well, that's what happens many times for me. They dry out. So then we got the Canna Pretoria. It's so beautiful at this time of year. It's beautiful any time of year. Those leaves are really striking. If you're a philodendron lover, they kind of remind me of a philodendron Birkin. So yeah, super cool. And we got some Gaillardias, the blanket flowers. They're looking really, really nice. Doing their thing. I've got two of them. There's one over here and then one over here. There's supposed to be two different colors. This one's supposed to be red, but as you can see, there's some yellow on the tips. So it looks like the other one, maybe a little less yellow. And I really want to get more zinnias for next year. Normally, I would consider saving some seeds, but I'm not very good at starting seeds and keeping them alive. So I think it's just better for me to just buy the little cell packs, 4 plants for like $2. So it saves a lot of stress. So, and I get nicer plants that give me more growth in the beginning. So then we got the big Nsa Banana. Well, it's not too big. I'm probably 4.5, 5 feet tall. I'm not sure whether I'm going to save this dormant in the garage with the other banana, or whether I'm going to take it and do corm divisions and make babies over the winter. I don't really need the babies, so maybe I'll just try to overwinter it and see what happens. Because if that can be bigger next year, I love it. And we got the big castor bean. That castor bean is gigantic. It is amazingly huge. It's probably about 9 or 10 feet tall. It's 3 or 4 feet over the fence. And we've got the seed pods developing. I don't know whether you're able to see in here, but the seed pods are developing. Hopefully there's enough time for them to ripen before we get a frost. So I'd like to, I don't think I have space for this next year, because next year I'm going to plant a tree here. I'm still out, the jury's out on what we're going to do. Might be some sort of a Japanese maple, but it might also be a, I've got a twisty baby locust in mind. So we'll see what happens. But it could be anything at this point. And then we got the turmeric. The turmeric is doing beautifully. I don't know whether you're able to see the root system down there. Well, not the root system, but the there's so much growth there. It's amazing. And we've been having an issue with moles or voles this year, and they've been digging up in the garden like crazy. And they dug up around this elephant ear, and now the elephant ear is nearly dead. So it must have eaten the root system. I'm not sure. We got traps all over the place. I don't know whether you've noticed, but they have really ravaged the garden this year. It's the first year that we've had them like just go crazy. We're in the country, so we're going to get stuff like that, but it was incredible. So what's this one? This is a Crinum Lily, and it's doing okay. In here we've got the Madagascar Jewel, and it's just a weed that's grown in there. Well, it's not really a weed, but it's turning into a weed. it's like the mother of millions or mother of thousands. The Kalanchoe or the Kalancho that has the little babies on the leaves, and then you have them in every pot. It's kind of like that, but the babies are so pretty with the modeling. Here's a baby right in here. Can you see the baby? I love the white veins. I wish that the white veins would continue as it matured, but they disappear. And the Butylon is looking amazing. I might try to bring it in every year. I said that I probably wouldn't bring it in for the winter, and maybe take some cuttings or something, but it's looking so gorgeous. How can I not bring that in? So anyway, we got the pots here, the Alocasias. And this year, I didn't get a lot of flowers on the hibiscus, but I'm getting seed pods developing, which I've never had a hibiscus with a seed pod. So that's really interesting. I'll see what happens with these to see if I can grow them from seed. That one is an orange variety. And same thing over here. We've got the Alocasia. Everything is looking really, really sad. It could be some cold nights. It could be that they need a lot of fertilizer. Like I said, I haven't been out like crazy fertilizing, and I really should with my pots. But I try to put some slow release in there in the spring, but by now that slow release is probably pretty well done. And then we've got this Zabrina, Alocasia Zabrina. Look at the stems. This is going to be coming in very, very soon. This will be in the next week. I'll bring it in because I don't want it to get stressed out. Got a new leaf developing, as you can see right here. I want to get that to be a nice big plant. Then here is the last little garden, and then we'll go to the front. So we've got the Plumerias. There's another Plumeria here under this leaf. This Alocasia here has really taken its time at starting to grow, but it's finally starting to put out some leaves. I think this one's the Borneo Giant, and then this giant one over here is the Borneo King. So the Borneo Giant, I think, is a slightly slower grower, but it gets bigger in the long run. And another zinnia. Look at that zinnia. The color just pops. And then we've got a cute little hydrangea, just a little bonus flower, and some sedum, just doing beautifully. And I love the texture on those leaves. So, and then the painted daisy just behind it looks like a bunch of weeds. So let's travel to the side garden and look at the Plumerias, and yeah, we'll be right back. So as we go into the side yard, we are met with this pot of carnivorous plants. We've got the Sarracenias right here, and then we've got the Purpurea, and then over here we've got the Venus flytrap. Just over on the other side, as you can see, we've got the Drosera capensis. So they're looking really good. They're looking like they're in the fall, so they're a little worse for wear, but they're looking pretty good. And they're just absolutely loaded with bugs. Let me see if I can get the camera in there. It's kind of gross. This is a lid that's broken, but you can see inside. So they're all like that. They're all full of grossness. Okay, so let's open this door. It's really gross because there's a massive spider web right here attached to the pull cord. So let's not die here. And the crane flies everywhere. Okay, so here we are at the side garden. We've got, I had beans planted here, but I didn't really eat the beans this year. So I think I'm going to save some seeds and plant them for next year and see what happens. I think it's because I was at the side garden and we don't really come over here very often. And yeah, I think they just got forgotten. And at dinner time, we just didn't, and even when I did pick them, we didn't eat them. Maybe it was a variety. I think that they were a little bit bitter. So we'll try next year. And then we got the Plumerias. Plumerias did okay. I don't know. I think maybe they weren't getting enough light, but last year they did beautifully here. We haven't gotten very much rain, and it's been really, really hot. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I fertilized a few times. I didn't fertilize as much as normally you should fertilize Plumerias. They should be done on a weekly basis, and because they're really, really heavy feeders, especially if you want them to bloom. But look at how thin the growth is on this one. It's quite thin, thinner than my finger, and that's not really common. This one is still thin, but it's a little bit bigger. But they're all like that, all with really thin growth. This one here is an appropriate growth size, where it's almost an inch across, but all the other ones are not doing as well. And the dahlias, oh, the dahlias, usually they do beautifully, and this year they haven't really started to bloom. I've gotten a couple of blooms on them, but they're really not doing anything. And I think I cut 1 or 2 blooms off a few weeks ago, and that is it. So I'm really disappointed with the dahlias. It could be because it's been so dry, and I've been trying to water, but you water one day and then the next day it's dry as a bone again because it's been so hot, and I just can't keep up with it. So it is what it is. Maybe one day we'll get a sprinkler system, but right now it's not going to happen. Sorry, I'm trying to step over the dahlias. And the mole situation, or the vole situation, has lifted up the soil like crazy. Like the stepping stones are almost buried under the soil because they've moved the soil so much. I need to weed in here. The tomatoes finally are getting some sun, and I removed the gourds. This was all gourds. We were getting powdery mildew, and they probably prematurely died, but I'll show you the harvest in a few minutes. But the tomatoes, we've been harvesting those for the last couple of weeks, and it's been okay. As you can see, we got one there. And then over here, this is the pumpkin patch that did terribly. I think that the soil there is mostly sandy, and there wasn't a lot of nutrients, for one, and for two, it dried out so fast. Again, you water it like crazy one day, and then the next day it's completely dry and the leaves are limp. So I need to put some more organic material in there to hold some moisture. I might even mulch, and I'm also going to do little moats around the pumpkin plants. I didn't get any actual pumpkins, but I did get gourds. it's just been a really, really tough thing to maintain, and it's kind of out of reach. This is the pumpkin patch, sorry. It's a little out of reach for the hose, so I ended up getting another hose, and I did put the sprinkler on for a good hour, moving it around for either Saturday and Sunday, or just one day on the weekend. So it should have been enough water, but they certainly need more water, I guess. So over here, finally the Mandevilla and Diplodania are starting to vine. It's been a whole season of them doing nothing. There's been something weird about this season. I thought it was a beautiful season. Nighttime temperatures were warm and hot through the day, and they've been watered and they've been fertilized, but they still did very little. So last year I brought some in and kept them over winter, and they did great. But this year I think I'm just going to let them go, and yeah, I'm not going to bother trying to overwinter them, because starting from plants I had over winter, these are the ones I had over winter, and they did beautifully downstairs, and then I brought them outside and they did very little. So I'm not going to do that again. It's worth spending the money, I think, in the spring. So we've got the turtle head. It's looking cute. Finally starting to get some sun, so it's looking a little nicer. It's been really shaded out. I think that they like some shade, but it was a really shade for a long time. Look at this, the gourd is stuck in there. I can't get it out. I need to cut it off. So here is the front garden. We've got, it looks pretty awful right now. There's not much to it, and I'll play around with this next year to try to make it a little nicer. I need to add some more shrubbery to do that. I need some more life. I think I need something in this area here, maybe another Spirea or something, but we'll figure it out. And I don't like this hibiscus here. The hibiscus, I actually took about 1.5 to 2 feet off the top of it. It stopped blooming. Last year it bloomed until frost, and this year it has stopped blooming. So these ones are all spent flowers, as I need to move the camera down. These ones are all spent flowers. I pruned it back to hopefully get some side branching so that it will start blooming again, but I'm not seeing anything happening. So I'm very disappointed, and yeah, we'll see how this goes. It's a beautiful bloom though. There was one in the backyard. I don't know whether you noticed that I took a cutting from last year. And the dogwood is doing lovely this year. It's looking pretty fall-like. Again, we're middle of September almost, and I say that it's only like the 10th, almost. So it's doing much better than it did last year. It's looking a lot more full. The leaves are much more plump. It doesn't look like it needs water all the time, which is wonderful. We got some cabbage down here. Again, I need to get something for back here. I had the sunflowers, the mini sunflowers. I had a plant grow here right by the rock, and I cut those down. I think that could have shaded things out, as well as the gourds shading things out. And I had another sunflower here that I just recently cut down. So that could have affected the size of other plants, but I still need to find something. I need to make this better. If you have any suggestions, again, I'm in zone 6B, so please don't suggest something that's in a higher zone. I want to have something that's a shrub that will stay year-round, or yeah, a shrub. I think I'd like that. The Japanese maple's looking pretty cool. It's getting all kinds of new growth. It's best to stop fertilizing in August, middle of August, so that you don't get any new flushes of growth, because the new flushes of growth will probably end up burning off in the winter. And this Japanese forest grass is looking so beautiful. I can't wait for this to get much more full, and I'll probably move some of this underneath the dogwood. I think that would really illuminate the dogwood beautifully. So, and then another thing that we have here, it's a cloudy overcast day, so these aren't opening to their full potential, but this is a type of Portulaca, and it's got a beautiful candy stripe to it. As you can see, wow, look at that spider web. The moisture is really holding onto those petals. This Spirea is looking really, really nice. I have trimmed this back. I trimmed it back in late July, and it's already come back, and it's already starting to produce a little bit of bloom. I'll probably not prune it back until early spring, and then in the springtime I will prune it back hard. I'll probably prune it back to about 8 inches tall, and it will turn into a beautiful shrub again like this next season. And then I'm waiting for the Japanese maple to get a little bit taller so that it makes sense. Right now the Spirea is really big, and the Japanese maple's not as big, so it looks funny together. But eventually it will it'll fill itself in. And then we got this beautiful hibiscus. Oh, it's so pretty. It's my favorite, and that's why I have it in a pot all by itself. And this will come downstairs very, very soon. And again, look at the seed. It's producing a seed pod. This is the first year I've ever had hibiscus going to seed. Usually they fall off. And then a sedum. That's an autumn joy. And up there on the table is the Alocasia Frydek. It's doing beautifully outside. And then over here is the little baby Monstera deliciosa. It's finally getting some cuts starting in the leaves. And then over here, we're almost done. And we've got the Boxwoods. I did a little bit of a change up. I took out the pansies and finally, and I put in some dusty millers and some ornamental peppers. I love having the boxwood in here because now I could just add a little bit of a pop of color, and I don't need to go crazy with pot design. In the center here, we've got the banana, and it's seen better days. Again, so much wind around here. And I popped a little pepper in there. The osteospermums are still doing okay, so I didn't want to rip those out. They've got a fall color in themselves. So yeah, the whole thing is not terrible. I was hoping that the banana would be a little bit bigger, but considering what it looked like in the spring, it was really tiny. So it's really put on a good amount of size. So yeah. And then over here, we've done the same thing as the other pot with the boxwood and then the dusty millers and the pepper, and I think it looks pretty nice. And then now it's the side garden between the houses, and it's looking really, really nice. The sunflowers were beautiful. I ripped those out, and because of the wind, look at how it's pushed the cabbage over, or the kale, and it's just it's crazy. And then they're like a zebra grass, but it's called bandwidth. And I wonder if they're going to produce a seed pod. I think that this one is a nice thick one. I think it's going to produce a seed pod. But usually by now they have their plumes of flowers, but these ones didn't have them last year. And I think all grasses have a seed pod. I can't see why they wouldn't. So then more kale. Look at the verbena. The verbena is amazing. As we get farther down the garden, it looks better and better. And another kale. There's another bandwidth. This one is significantly bigger than this one over here. I don't know why. Maybe it dries out faster at this side and it likes it dry. And then we've got the big Colocasia esculenta, Jack's Giant. These leaves are about 30 inches long, and the plant itself is probably about 5.5 feet tall. It comes out to about my shoulder now, so maybe a little bit, yeah, 5.5 feet tall. So they're looking really, really good. Trying not to get a recycle in the video. There's some flowers developing. These flowers don't really have a fragrance. Let me come in at a different angle. There's the flower. They don't really have a fragrance. Some colocasias do have a fragrance, but this one does not, from what my nose can tell me. So let's move up. So yeah, this year they've done beautifully. And the hydrangeas are looking nice. They're finally pink. They do their little ombre effect, but now they're pink. Yeah, they're looking really nice. And let's go check out the side garden between the houses. So over here, I'm gonna bring these in the next couple of days. Some begonias. I'm getting my aquariums out downstairs, and I'm going to plant them in pots and put them in the aquarium for added humidity. But this one, it had better days. I think that there's been an animal over here, and it broke a bunch of leaves. And then this one, this is a type of cane variety of begonia. Really like that one. I tried to grow a banana, one of the blue javas. It didn't get any roots, but there's still some green in there, so I'm hoping that it's developing roots and then it will start to develop new growth. We got some coleus. This fern is so pretty. I love how it develops the tiny little baby fronds in along the vein. Then we got all kinds of coleus over here. And yeah, this is the garden. So that was the tour. It was a long one, but we got both in. We got the front and the back and the sides. This will probably be the last tour of the season. Again, let me know if you want to see me dig up a few of these plants. Again, the banana I will do a video on because I tried it last year and it worked. So I'll show you what I did, and hopefully I have the same success this year. Every year is different. But yeah, it's been a really, really good year. Again, I don't think that there's going to be another tour, but you never know. We might get one of those crazy freak warm weather Octobers. What month are we in? October. So if that's the case and the yard looks good and there's still stuff to show, I'll take you through. But as of right now, oh, I forgot to show you the gourds. Let's check out the harvest of gourds. So in here, I'm trying to save some seeds. I've got some garlic that I'm going to replant. Welcome to the garage. And this is all of the gourds that we got from the plants. This one is one of my favorites. I love this one. There's all kinds of variety in it, but it's so cool. And then this one, I'm trying to grab from the other bin. This one I think is really perfect. That's an amazing one. So yeah, I got all kinds of varieties, all kinds of interesting colors. I wish there was a little bit more greens, but I'll take it. I'll take it. Anyway, until next time, you guys, happy growing. Show me what you've harvested this year. I'd love to see.